All right, make sure you have a pencil, something to write with, because I'll be asking you to underline and circle and maybe even highlight a few things as we read this article together. Okay, this article is about Rosa Parks, and it was found, I got it from New Zealand, which is a teacher web page that is definitely reliable and definitely there is not going to be any bias in here. You won't see a tone that has any kind of emotion. All right, let's go ahead and begin. If I underline or circle anything, you do what I do on your paper, okay? Again, let me say this. You do what I do. So if I underline, circle, bring attention to any part of the article, I want you to do that as well. Okay. Rosa Parks' emotional journals on display. Rosa Parks is known as the First Lady of Civil Rights and the mother of the freedom movement. At the time of her arrest in 1955, buses were segregated, meaning they had different seating areas for blacks and whites. Parks was arrested after she refused to give up her seat for a white male passenger. Her courageousness stands inspired as a historical campaign to end segregation on buses. Despite her prominent role in the fight against segregation, the public has never thought about Parks as a forceful, angry protester. Instead, she has always been portrayed as a proper, gentle, and ladylike. So this is, go ahead and underline that. This is how we used to know Rosa. A black and white photograph that shows Rosa Parks reenacting her refusal to give up her seat fits the image we have of her. She is conservatively dressed and holds her handbag tightly on her lap so as not to bother any of the other passengers. She certainly does not seem militant, forceful, or even combative. A complex woman. There was much more to Parks than her public image suggests. Journals and letters from the same period as her 1955 arrest show that she was feeling hurt and angry. They reveal that she found segregation in Montgomery, Alabama, so soul-crushing that the line between reason and madness grows thinner. All right, this is something new that, I think we need to underline or bring attention to, that she was feeling hurt and angry, and that she found it to be soul-crushing, because this is new information. So I'm going to have you write new above that. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Go ahead and write new information about Rosa. And then I want you to go ahead and write old next to how we used to know her, or we've always had this image of her being proper, gentle, and ladylike. So pause the video and write old next to that. Such a good job of brainwashing was done on the Negro that a militant Negro was almost a freak of nature to them, she wrote. An African American who spoke up forcefully against injustice was often ridiculed by others of his own group. So basically what she's saying here is that even other black people looked at other black people who were standing up as crazy people. Like, why would you do this? Why are you putting your life in danger? Both sides of Parks' personality, the calm, determined protester and the furious agitator for change, can be seen in newly released documents. The collection includes 7,500 manuscripts and 2,500 photographs. The documents are on loan to the Library of Congress for the next 10 years. The collection opens to the public on Wednesday, which would have been Parks' 102nd birthday. Park died in 2005 at the age of 92. All right, we're on the next page, a time capsule of her life. The journals detailed the injustices of her daily life as a seamstress in Montgomery Fair department store. Black employees of the store were forced to eat lunch leaning up against the blacks-only bathroom. They also show her raw anger at the murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till in Mississippi, less than 4 months before Parks' arrest. Parks called Till's murder a killing that could be multiplied many times in the South. Okay, I want you to go ahead and underline this part here about till. And I want you to write till off to the side so that when you need to find that quickly, you'll know where it is. We're sort of doing a close reading by kind of bringing attention to parts in this article that you might need to come back quickly when you have to answer questions about this later this week. All right, the documents are very varied. They range from a peanut butter pancake recipe scribbled on the back of a bank envelope to a program for a lunch honoring militant activist Angela Davis. There are postcards from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., along with a worn Bible. Parks deliberately maintained her image as a shy and proper, said Adrian Cannon, an expert on African American history. During the 1950s, a woman, particularly a black woman, was not expected to be forceful. An angry black woman would be seen negatively by the public. Because remember, women had to be fragile and sweet. They couldn't act out. If Parks had let all her feelings out, she might have hurt her cause. So she tried hard to always seem gentle and ladylike. However, Cannon said, in this collection, we hear more of that militant voice. So what I want to do, and you might want to do this maybe with highlighter, but I want to underline the different parts of her, the different personalities. So I'm going to pick blue here, and I'm going to underline the parts that have the old, and I'll write old, because that's the old Rosa Parks that we can remember. There's old again. And see how I write old? You don't need a color, just use a pencil, but you need to write old next to what you're finding. And then I will switch over and I'll write, so that is definitely new. I was skimming back through what we've already read to see if I can see anything else. Okay. Cannon said that she believed Parks wanted history to have a fuller picture of her. The papers were maintained as a sort of time capsule for a day when her more militant side could be understood. She held on to them until the end of her life, the most personal of the personal, Cannon said. She wanted us to know the true Rosa Parks. Wow, so this is pretty cool. So she acted ladylike and proper until 92 when she passed away. But all along, she kept these personal notes and documents off to the side that she couldn't make public to everybody, but really showed a more militant voice. And when I say militant, that comes from the word military. Military is more forceful. So she had it brings a connotation meaning of more forceful. So Rosa Parks sounds like she might have been a very angry woman, that it was soul crushing, she said, what was happening in the South, that Emmett Till's murder happened 4 months before she refused to give up her seat. It's almost like that was the straw that broke the camel's back, is what I'm kind of reading this as. So it's interesting that it's almost like she was acting a part. This calm and reserved Rosa, from what we're discovering through these new documents that were released after she passed away, that this means that she was actually a very angry Rosa this whole time. The law is the law. Parks wrote about her experiences growing up in rural Alabama. She recalled her fear as a 6 or 7-year-old, seeing her grandfather stand watch with a shotgun to protect their home from the Ku Klux Klan, a racist group responsible for attacks against the blacks. I wanted to see him kill a Ku Kluxer, she wrote. Whoa, underline that. New. That is a new Rosa that we did not know about. Okay, this is the angry Rosa that we are discovering in this article. Parks was already an activist by 1955 when she refused to give up her seat on the bus. She had been influenced by her husband, her grandfather, and an Alabama group known as the Women's Political Council. Remember, It was the Women's Political Council that pretty much got the bus boycott up and going. I had been pushed around all my life and felt at this moment that I couldn't take it anymore, she wrote. When I asked the policeman why we had to be pushed around, he said he didn't know. The law is the law. You are under arrest. There is just so much hurt, disappointment, and oppression one can take, she wrote. Okay. So she'd had enough. She had had enough to the point where she was beyond angry. She made a difference. Parks' arrest for staying in her bus seat inspired a successful 13-month campaign to end segregation of the Montgomery buses. Parks, who lost her job after her arrest, moved to Detroit in 1957. In 1965, she began working for the Democratic Congressman John Conyers, Jr. In 1996, President Bill Clinton awarded Parks the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's pretty cool.